Hello, I'm Dan Knapp, the Deputy Director of the Los Angeles Conservation Corps, and I'm here to interview an icon of Los Angeles. So Bruce, this is Bruce Saito, Executive Director of LA Conservation Corps.
Yes, Dan.
What does this Legacy Award mean to you?
Well, it's very special. Again, if you remember my remarks, I'm humbled by the honor and recognition, and it's very special because it means a lifelong of work and dedication to the Corps movement.
So how does it feel to be honored with such, icons like, the founder of SCA, the Urban Corps of San Diego, being in the same company of these folks?
Well, that's what's somewhat misleading for me because, Elizabeth she created the Student Conservation Association. So to even be kind of spoken in that same breath is pretty amazing. And I don't know. I don't think it's all sunk in yet, but it's truly an honor, and it's great to be, again, recognized in this way.
So Bruce, you started at the California Conservation Corps back in the 70s. Has there ever been a period during your Conservation Corps experience, this has been your life's work, where you maybe thought that it was the wrong path, or when did you know it was the right path to continue down?
Well, Dan, last Friday I thought it was the wrong path, but I don't think I ever thought of it in those terms. I mean, the Corps life is so chaotic, but also so crazy and fun that sometimes you don't really have the time to really think if what you're doing is the right thing. Although, yeah, there's been a lot of challenges in those years, and even early on, especially because the California Conservation Corps was still trying to define what it was. And every year, there's been new discussions or new directions or new kind of things to do, but I don't think there's ever been a moment. Certainly, there's been times over those years that I may have second-guessed myself, but I don't think that I've ever thought that I would be giving up.
Were you hooked day one? Or
I think it was. If it wasn't day one, and back then it was pretty crazy. I'll still remember. I was obviously much younger, and there was such enthusiasm. We were more. It wasn't as much youth leadership back in the CCC day. In fact, the CCC was still trying to figure out if they were in fact a youth leadership program, a program for underserved youth, or an environmental program. It's what we do now. Some it's education, some it's environment, some it's youth leadership or workforce development, and it certainly was that way back then. And I think that's what made it so exciting.
So Bruce, you've been in this movement for well over 30 years. What do you see the future of the movement?
Well, I like to say it's all rosy and wonderful because of discussions and experiences like this, but we're here this week in Washington, and we've heard already a number of presentations, and you hear some where it's looking fantastic. We had a discussion with the panelists from former legislators, and that's so confusing. It's mind-boggling. Let's try to figure out everything that they're talking about, and just even when they were asked, well, what's the presidential election going to look like this November? Everybody's got a different opinion, and so I'm still hopeful that there are enough good things that are happening despite the economy, because of the hard work of this movement and the individuals like yourself and all the other corps that are here, that it may not be fantastic in the next year or two, but certainly there are lots of good things to look forward to.
So what I hear you saying, Bruce, is that the movement's here to stay, in some form. Do you see it evolving in any particular way? Do you see it changing? As you've seen it change from, like you were saying earlier, primarily conservation work, not as much youth development, and the education portion of the Corps have grown, and the supportive services that we provide to the members have grown. Do you have any, if you look in your little crystal ball, do you see any evolution or change in the movement?
Dan, I think I've told you the story about when we first started. The first couple of years, I think we passed out 1 million 17-gallon recycling containers, buckets. Yeah, and so and then we changed to, I think they then passed out the 90-gallon toters, and then we did recycle oil, and we did recycled tires, and I think that kind of, not necessarily just around recycling, but we always have to keep changing. And so, you know, you're spending a lot of time in energy efficiency stuff and solar and the like, and there will always be incredible work that needs to be done in the natural resources. So I think some of the things, or the work that we do stays the same, and then some of it we have to keep changing, evolving, and keeping in step with the different trends or the different needs of the young folks.
So Bruce, I know you've been in the movement for 30 plus years, and this is probably an unfair question. Does anything stand out, you know, in particular of, you know, of moments of great reward? I know every day's got to be rewarding. It's also every day's challenging. But any particular instances or core members that you're particularly proud of, or things that you've been involved in that you're particularly proud of? Special projects, you know, special people, you know, anything like that?
Yeah, there are many, and I thought about that, and I didn't talk about them. I mean, you know, recently this Fernando Gomez was made the head ranger of the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. So I think there are a lot of great stories like that. You know, I think I knew Fernando when he was 14. For him to become a ranger of a big agency, those kinds of things are pretty cool. And then, you know, at the same time, I was going to talk about it, but I thought I couldn't handle it. You know, we had a Corps member that was killed a couple months ago, and those are the not so great things that happen, but the challenges that we face every day. So it's a combination of those kind of highs and lows, and an incredible number of individual success stories or fulfillment stories that really, you know, I could make a long list. So I'll do that in my retirement.
Well, thanks, Bruce. You're such a phenomenal leader. I'm so proud to serve under you. So,
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.